Canoeing is the most popular water sport in the UK. For most people, this means lakes, canals, reservoirs and gently flowing rivers. But we have an immense coastline that's full of paddling potential. So my mission is to convince you that the place to be is around the edge. Well, my name's Rich and I've been teaching people to canoe and kayak for over 10 years. Most of my time is spent on estuaries like this one and on the sea. The potential there is absolutely vast. So for me, the coast is the place to be in a kayak. There's massive potential with where we can go and we really do begin to use the kayak for its intended purpose. It's a vehicle to get us out to see different places rather than just an activity to do for its own sake. So the access to rivers and inland waterways can be and is often very, very difficult. We're not allowed to go certain places and the time scale, the time limits put on rivers can be tricky. The sea is a free place. If it's tidal, we're allowed to go and use it. And that ranges from estuaries like this one to the coast at large. So along the coast we'll encounter a massive range of environments. We have salt marshes and bays and harbours where we can get on in relatively calm conditions. We've then got the coast proper, where we can do trips from A to B along the coast exploring as we go. And in these situations it could be along sandy beaches, we've got towering cliffs, and once we get into it we can do open crossings around islands and along the coast. An absolute wealth of places to go and paddle. So for a lot of people, their first experience of kayaking will be on a sit on top. So very, very easy to sort yourself out if you fall in. And if we go from a very calm bay or an estuary, we know that we're not going to be right in the heart of the wind and the tide. But it's when we move into a touring kayak that we can really get the full potential out of it. The boat's designed to deal with the wind, to deal with a little bit of tide, to carry equipment, and be good for us to move fast and efficiently along the coastline.
So the main purpose of a touring kayak is to move quickly through the water so you can cover as much distance as possible. One of the main differences you're going to notice is the front and the back are very pointed compared to a whitewater boat. This helps them slice through the water, so you're going to keep the speed up, which is obviously one of the most important things of a touring kayak. When you're first looking, you've really got to think about where you want to go with your kayak. So if you're looking to go on estuaries, around the coast, you don't need anything really long. You're probably looking at something around 14 to 16 foot. So on most entry-level touring kayaks, you'll have a bit of an edge. This means that it's nice and stable when you first get in, but it also means that once you do start to move around, you'll be able to carve around quite nicely in the boat and get it to really turn around where you want to go. Moving up, there's often a hatch at the front. That'll usually be a round hatch for storing all your gear. Then moving further up the boat, there'll be some deck lines for keeping your maps, or there may be a pod or a hatch there. You'll often have another hatch. This will usually be a larger hatch, so you can fit overnight gear in there, your food for a weekend away if that's what you want to do. There's the cockpit where you sit, so inside there'll be a seat. Sometimes it'll be an adjustable seat for comfort, and there'll be hip pads and there'll be thigh grips, and inside there'll be footrests. Now these vary from model to model, but generally you should be able to have as much contact with the boat as possible, and then you'll get the best reaction out of the boat. Behind there you'll often have a skeg adjuster. A skeg is used to help the boat track, so if you're going into a strong wind you can put that skeg right down and it'll just give the boat a little bit more directional stability, and it'll mean that you're putting your strokes in equally on either side and you're still going to go in a straight line.
So if we've got the boat, we're in our touring kayak, the best place to start is on a tidal river. Today I'm at Southampton Water, where the River Test flows out to the sea. It's a great place to paddle. It's quite close to where I live, so nice and convenient for me. But we do get lots and lots of industry, which gets really quite heavy further downriver as we get further out towards the Solent and the Isle of Wight. But likewise in the other direction, we get beautiful spots for the wildlife. Wherever there's a little gap between the industry, nature will fill it in, and it's a fantastic place to go and explore. Estuaries are one of the best places to start your transition onto open water. So paddling on an estuary, we will experience and face the same conditions we get out on the sea. We're always going to get small little waves, we're going to get an effect of the tide and the wind and the weather, but it's in a much more controlled environment. So one of the features of estuaries is that wherever you get the narrowest point, there's bound to be bridges over for roads and footpaths. These give a great place for us to explore and go through all the tunnels under the main structure of the bridge. But at these narrowing points, often we get the swirls and the eddies, which are an ideal place for us to learn what happens to the boat in this moving water environment. And as we develop our skills, we can move further and further down the river until we get right to the mouth, where we're going to get the swell and the wind and more of that sea state. And as we develop our skills in that environment, we put ourselves in the best position to then launch from the beach and explore the coastline proper. Okay, so we've been out on the sea, you've had your curiosity stimulated, but are unsure about what to do next. We can go to local canoe shops, local clubs, and there's always events like this one, the Sea Kayaking Symposium, and there are a few dotted around the country. So Matt, you've organised the Sea Kayak Symposium again,
Sure, yeah.
reinstated it. What's the reason behind doing it?
The reason is to get people involved in the sport, really. You know, they come to the shop, or they've come into with 1 star or basic training. Now it's time for them to get in the boats, try different boats, find out what boats works for them, you know, because it's a big investment. So get people involved and also get the community involved as well, you know, non-paddlers just coming down.
So has it been a success on the sort of what you've seen so far?
It's been really good, yeah, really good success. I sat on the water yesterday morning. There was a basic skills to sea kayaking. There was 15 people on the water. All those 15 people were just beaming, smiling and just having a fantastic time. That's what it's all about.
Some of the great bits about paddling is, as well as paddling in different boats, we can paddle in different environments. Sometimes it's great to go out first thing in the morning when there's still fog on the water, and as we go through the day, it all burns away and we get glorious sunny days. Another great aspect of sea kayaking is the wildlife we encounter. Even on a small estuary like this, we'll get otters, kingfishers, lots of marsh birds. The nature of the boat and the fact that we don't make any sound and we travel quite slowly means that often animals are inquisitive. It's quite common for sea kayakers to have a seal at some point on the end of their boat, treating you like a plaything, really. Without the engine, we get really close and get an excellent view. So I hope I've been able to convince you of the fantastic potential in paddling along the coast of the UK. See you next time.